guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies. And you know they are really groovy. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies. And we know they are really groovy.
Hey,
Hello.
how's it going?
Good, good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Two Guys and a Gal Talk About
Another late edition.
Late edition. Yeah,
we might have to go at this time regularly.
Yeah.
They're going to be expecting it from now on.
Uh-oh. No, that was sort of.
No, I was supposed to do a double show. I was supposed to cover for somebody, and then they called me today and said, "Oh no, you don't have to cover for that person." And I was like, "Oh." So that was my bad this time.
Yeah. Well,
so
no problem.
But I only got like 5.5 hours of sleep last night because my computer is taking like 10 times longer to do stuff that I needed to do. So I'm drinking coffee, which I don't usually do. I usually drink decaf.
Yeah. Well, I've got my friend here.
No, Jack Daniels.
This is not, no, this is not Jack Daniels. It's just ice or sweet tea. Oop, I don't know if I can show the product.
Yeah, it's sweet tea. Yeah.
It's sweet tea.
Last night we let the liquor talk.
That's what we call it down here in Texas.
And your friends, they say, what the hell? I don't know why that song is on top 40. I mean, I can understand about top 40 in a country station, but it's on my daughter's top 40 station. I listen to it. We listen to it every time we get in the car, it plays. So they must play it like 400 times a day.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, I'm not hip to a lot of the modern music these days. I'm it's like the song says, I'm preoccupied with 1985.
Well, sometimes I get on social media and I sing, and twice a year I'm gonna be doing Rory's top 40. So that's one of the songs I sing on my last top 40.
This goes
last night.
This is a special dedication.
Very country.
Yeah.
We have a very special show tonight because we're going to be talking about Sinbad movies.
That's right.
Sinbad the Sailor movies.
Yes.
I gotta clarify that.
Yes, not Sinbad the comedian.
Although we are ready.
We
can talk about the Sinbad movies. There are not many Sinbad movies.
Yeah.
And there are not many Sinbad the Sailor movies we found this week when we were probably doing our research. We were supposed to make a top 5 list. I think that's all the Sinbad movies that were ever made, which is 5. So
actually, no, there's actually like about 24, 25. But a lot of TV
seriously, I think I found like 9.
Series, yeah. But like actual live action, not that many.
And a lot of them were like direct to video or direct to TV channel,
Right, exactly.
One of them's called Sinbad the 50th. Sinbad the 50th voyage or something like that. It was like really weird. They have a tendency to make different numbers of voyages for him.
Yeah.
Like Sinbad the 5th voyage. 7th voyage is Sinbad.
Yeah. Well, Sinbad began as one of the 1001 Nights, the Tales of Scheherazade. And there were actually 7 voyages in her stories, or in those stories. And so that's why there's,
But somehow they made a movie about the 50th.
He's
a prolific thief, that guy, that Sinbad guy.
Oh my goodness.
He always ends up with like a princess in a movie. He's had so many princesses.
Exactly. There's a princess, there's an evil wizard, there's a leaf or a king, there's of course monsters.
Well, that's why we really watch the Sinbad movies, is for the monsters.
For the monsters.
And they're like you said, there is an evil wizard in usually every one of them. And the Sinbad movie is usually really good if you have a really good evil wizard.
Yes. Yeah.
That's how I rank them, kind of. If the evil wizard is really, really good, and he pulls up really cool monsters to fight Sinbad and this man, that makes a good Sinbad movie.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, they're only it's like anything. It's like the Bond movies. They're only as good as the villain. So there's only like 3 good ones.
I don't know. I really like the villain in Moonraker, but a lot of people diss on that movie.
Moonraker. Oh, Hugo Drax.
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael Lonsdale.
Yes. Yes. Make your Mr. Bond uncomfortable. Yeah.
You reoccur like inevitably like a bad season. Is one of his lines, I think, something like that. He had some great lines.
It is.
Desolated Mr. His last words were "Desolated Mr. Bond." Heartbroken Mr. Drax.
Yes.
Take a big step for mankind.
Shout out the airlock. Yeah, we're gonna have to do Bond movies eventually. I mean, we've talked.
Yeah, well, it's gonna take like 4 shows. You know.
Yeah.
We got to do all the Connery movies in one, then we got to do all the Roger Moore movies in another, because they did like 7 each.
Yeah.
And then we got to do the other guys. So,
yeah.
and Daniel Craig's probably going to be his own show. So it's probably going to be like 4 shows to get all the Bond movies done. But okay, Sinbad, your number one Sinbad movie. What is it?
Okay.
This one I had trouble with. I was teetering to one way or another, you know. But
so just going from top to bottom. My top one is The Golden Voyage of Sinbad.
Okay. Yeah. This is the one I was teetering with. I really, really like Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, but Golden Voyage of Sinbad kind of edges it out a little bit.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go ahead and talk about why this movie is an awesome Sinbad movie.
All right. Well, first of all, like we already mentioned, the villain, the wizard, Cora, is played by Tom Baker, who later went on to play the Fourth Doctor on Doctor Who.
Doctor Who fame, yes.
Yeah. In fact, I think this one came out in 73 and
was also the narrator on the comedy sketch show Little Britain. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh, baby. He enjoyed the hell out of that too, because they give him some of the weirdest stuff to say.
Oh, bad, yeah.
Setting up the sketches.
Yeah. So he's the evil wizard.
Mm-hmm.
John Philip Law plays Sinbad, who also played the Angel of Pygar in Barbarella.
Right.
And the lovely and ravishing Caroline Munro. This one is she's not a princess; she's a former slave who is
right. This one he gets a slave girl.
Yeah, this one he gets a slave girl.
Exactly.
Yes. Hubba hubba. And Monroe, she didn't get a whole lot of dialogue, but then who cares? it's her, and you know she was in a lot of.
Jane Seymour's in the next one, which is Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah,
and they're both Bond girls.
Yeah, they both
and neither one of them really got a lot to say.
No.
Movies. And again, they were just kind of window dressing.
They were window dressing, eye candy.
They look good in Arabian clothes.
In Arabian costumes, exactly. Yeah, Carolyn. She was in a lot of the Hammer movies that you talked about. That the general talked about on that other show. And in fact, she was in one of my favorites, Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter.
Oh yeah,
she had a bigger part in that. But yeah, so she's the slave girl. She has this eye tattooed on her hand, and that's why Sinbad takes her along, because he has a dream about her and the evil wizard, and she's like the key to finding this treasure that they're looking for. And yeah, they had a lot of interesting monsters. Maybe not.
Let's talk about the monsters. Cora uses, and this was another interesting point about it. Every time he uses his magic, he loses age. He loses was it 10 years on his life or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Which is interesting. So he's like, no, damn Sinbad. Oh, there's another 10 years. He brings the wooden figurehead on the front of the ship to life.
Right.
And that turns around and starts fighting the men on the ship, which is interesting.
Right. Well, the first thing,
and it's supposed to be a siren.
Yeah. The first thing we see though is his spy, the little homunculus that looks like some kind of weird bat creature. So we see that flying around, and then we actually see him making a new one. Bringing it to life. So yeah, then we get the siren, And and probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Sinbad and some of his men have to fight Kali, a statue
Kali,
of Kali,
the multi-arms,
the multi-armed death goddess, which
right?
and it's a great, I mean, this was
It's iconic.
yes,
whenever you think about Sinbad, you think about that scene.
yeah, the special effects were done by Ray Harryhausen, who is of course
Correct.
a legend in the effects world. I mean, the guy apprenticed under Willis O'Brien, who did King Kong and Mighty Joe Young.
Yeah.
That, and he would go on to do,
Earth versus the Flying Saucers, 20 Million Miles to Earth, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, all kinds of
on and on. Yeah, the Valley of Plangi, Jason and the Argonauts, which is one of my favorites. Which I think
Jason and the Argonauts. Yeah. Oh my gosh. We're going to talk about that in a little bit because he in Seventh Voyage of Sinbad he uses a skeleton warrior, and then of course a couple of years later when he did Jason and the Argonauts, we had the whole army of skeleton men fighting Jason and the Argonauts. And he ends up jumping off a cliff into the ocean. Jason does to get away from them because they're killing all of his men around him. And they don't die. And I always thought after the movie was over that the skeletons would like chase him around the world. He'd show up in a nice restaurant. They give him a nice table, and then the skeleton guys show up after him. They'd have to run again.
Oh man,
not again.
Guys again.
He's in bed with the princess, and there they come.
That would be awesome.
Anyway,
but yeah,
Kali. After Kali, there's a centaur.
A centaur,
which again is a very iconic Sinbad monster character.
Centaur, yeah.
And he ends up fighting a griffin.
Griffin, yeah.
A lion body with the head and wings of an eagle.
Right.
Or a bird of prey.
And that's another kind of trope especially in Harryhausen's movies, where he has monsters fighting each other eventually, almost
at the end. Usually there's a big battle.
The big battle between the creatures, and it's always so cool. It's so cool. I mean, by today's standards with the CGI and all that stuff, probably look a little janky,
Well, but I like that about them. I like the fact that they were a little like they stuttered a little bit when they moved. That just made it kind of. That was called dynamation, by the way. He called his articulating the monsters dynamation.
Yeah,
and again, it was like the coolest back at that time. There was no CGI. It was long before the days of CGI. This was the 60s and 70s. And again, with the first one, Seven Voyages of Sinbad, 58. So, and again, he went on to do Mysterious Island, where he was doing crabs and bees and a giant chicken and tried to eat people and such. And again, Jason and the Argonauts. But I actually saw today you can find them on YouTube. There's a guy that has taken the motion on those and kind of smoothed it out.
Right. Yeah.
And made it look smoother.
Yeah.
And so you can see how it would have looked if they had, done the animation a little smoother. It's kind of a smack in the face to Harryhausen. Oh, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah. But, they didn't have the technology. Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah. I mean, again, when we saw those Harryhausen movies when we were kids, that's just the way they looked, and it was cool to us.
Yeah. And if you want to do a comparison, you just look at Clash of the Titans, which he did, and compare that to the remake. The effects. They're a little bit smoother.
I like the 71 Clash of the Titans better. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It just seemed better to me. They were trying too hard with the CGI.
And what's the thing with the snakes in there?
The Medusa. Yeah.
Medusa. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Like you said, iconic. Just iconic.
Yes.
But,
anyway,
so
I'm guessing Seventh Voyage was your second one?
No, actually, my second one was not Golden. Eye
of the Tiger.
Eye of the Tiger, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. See, my problem with Eye of the Tiger was it was a kind of a rehash of Golden Voyage of Sinbad to me.
Yeah, well,
They even got another Doctor Who to play a scientist in it. And again, the big battle at the end was a troglodyte, fighting a saber-toothed tiger, which was not as cool as a griffin fighting a centaur to me. So
yeah,
that's third on my list, though, because again, it's totally cool. Ray Harryhausen Sinbad. So did have the ghouls at the beginning, which was different.
right.
The Minotaur was interesting. He was the golden statue of a Minotaur.
Right. Yeah.
I like the way the troglodyte, was like really into Jane Seymour. I don't know why, but there was some just wrong about that I really liked as a kid.
Yeah. And
as long as Jane Seymour's around, we'll be fine.
Exactly. Well, so tell me about the Seventh Voyage. Why is that your second?
Okay, Kerwin Matthews is way too American.
And I think that's why it's third. But go ahead.
But the Cyclops is just
yes.
freaking awesome, off the chain awesome.
Yeah.
You've got the Rock, you've got the dragon. He's got a dragon, and Torrin Thatcher as the sorcerer,
right.
is who comes as a magician to the Sultan's castle. You have the scene where he turns the maiden into a snake woman, and then she strangles herself. The snake strangles her, and again you got the skeleton fight at the end, which is again a precursor to Jason the Argonaut's skeleton fight.
But it's still freaking awesome, though.
Yeah, I mean it is
for the time. It's I'm sure going to see that
a skeleton who has the thought process to think, oh my God, he just took my sword. I'm going to throw my shield at him.
Right.
Wait a minute. His brain is dried up. What the hell? He shouldn't be thinking that fast.
But it's magic.
And again, the genie, I didn't like the genie in it as a kid. It just annoyed me, because he was a kid. And for some reason, it just annoyed me. I don't know why. But and I promised to do my impression of the Cyclops.
Yes.
On this show. So this is my impression of Ray Harryhausen's Cyclops from the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. And I've worked on this. I've worked long and hard on this impression to make it as good as I possibly can. And that's it. You always did that little at the end. So, there you have it. So yeah, that's again. Those are kind of tied for number one. Golden Voyage and that one are tied for number one. I would have to say Golden Voyage. You may just edge it out just a hair.
Yeah.
And
the funny thing, we talking about the Cyclops and the little thing at the end there. That's one of the genius things about Harryhausen, as he always added these little extra touches that really brought his creatures to life. Even though he was moving them one little thing at a time, and taking a picture and just building up this motion. He always took the time to add just a little extra,
Yeah. Agreed.
And that's what made his creatures, his things so memorable and iconic, like we said.
Yeah. Even First Men in the Moon, where he does the set. What did they call those?
The Selenites.
Yeah. And the giant bull centipede.
Yeah.
And there's also a at the end of Mysterious Island, when they're underwater, they come across a
it's like an octopus.
It's like a giant snail kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they have to fight it underwater with the electric gun that Captain Nemo's made. Captain Nemo, played by Herbert Lom, who later would go on to do the Pink Panther films. As Inspector Dreyfus, Chief Inspector Dreyfus. I hate Clouseau. I hate you.
Yeah.
Still not my favorite Captain Nemo, but James Mason will always be my favorite captain.
Yeah.
James Mason as Captain Nemo is perfect.
Yes.
Anyway,
all the Nemos,
as usual.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's our top three. The Harryhausen Sinbad movies are definitely the top three.
Top three trifecta.
They set the bar.
They set the bar.
Yeah. So number 4.
So number 4 on my list is one that I kind of vaguely remember having seen, but then I watched it and I realized that I hadn't. But I'd say it doesn't have monsters in it, unfortunately. But it's one of the more classier ones. And it's just called Sinbad the Sailor. And the cast, though, there you go. It's Douglas Fairbanks. Maureen O'Hara, Walter Slezak plays a character, and Anthony Quinn is in this movie. And as
Anthony Quinn.
Yeah.
And Slezak was in Hitchcock's Lifeboat.
Yeah.
German, I guess, spy character.
Right.
And went on to infamy playing the Clock King on Batman, the TV show in the 1960s.
Yeah.
2 episodes.
And, I kept thinking as we're watching the movies, like, why is this guy so familiar? And that's right. He played the Clock King. I forgot about that.
Isn't that terrible that this guy has been in movies for decades and he'll probably go down in history being remembered as being the Clock King?
Exactly. But, hey, you gotta find work or you can find it. I guess.
And something in my mind is telling me he committed suicide. But I know that George Sanders committed suicide.
Yeah.
And Sanders was also on Batman as the first Mr. Freeze. He's also Shere Khan.
Yeah.
In the Jungle Book, the Disney Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Tell me where the man cub is.
Yeah. And that's why I remembered when I first saw Batman and got to that episode and George Saunders, and I thought, I know that voice. Where do I know that voice from? It's like, Jungle King, Jungle Book. Yeah.
Well, he was doing a very pronounced German accent when he did. I wanted to toy with you a little longer, Batman.
Yeah, but even so, it still has that very
revenge. I will have revenge.
Yeah. Still, to me, still the best. Still the best of the ones.
I agree.
The others are just way too campy. Otto Preminger
and Eli Wallach had their thing, but yeah, I'd have to admit that the best one was George Sanders in my mind.
And Preminger, kept shouting, "Wild, it's wild,
yes,
wild, wild."
Your body temperature will be 50 below.
Yeah.
Actually, Alan Napier had a problem with him on the set too, because he had worked with Preminger before in film, and Preminger was evidently he was a real Nazi when it came to directing people and yelling at them for drying up, and he did that when he was on Batman. So Napier was like tickled to death that he was having the same problem that he was yelling at people for 10 years earlier.
When you see movies where there's sort of cliche German direct.
It's not a real adjective.
You don't look Germanish. A sort of tyrannical director. They're parodying Otto Preminger.
I'm sure sometime this week I probably said Sinbaddy at one time. This is very Sinbaddy. Making up our own adjectives for this show.
Oh, speaking of Alan Napier, he's in this movie with Fairbanks. He has a small role in it. He's in there.
Okay.
I was looking at the credits and I saw Alan Napier and I'm like, oh, Alfred! And then sure enough. And probably one of the best Alfreds too.
Yeah, he was definitely a lovable Alfred. There's no doubt about it. He almost turned down the part. That was the funniest thing when they told him how much money was involved. He was like, "I'm there."
You know, yeah. I mean, all the Alfreds in the movies and on TV.
I really like Michael Gough as Alfred, though, man.
Yeah, he was good. He was
Oh
good.
my God, he was
I
such
enjoyed
a good Alfred. Anyway,
But Napier just always felt like I believed him to be a butler. You know, I thought this.
even in Batman and Robin, you know.
Yeah.
Even though that movie was just so over the top,
that was a
you know, he was great in that.
That was horrible. It was one of my.
We're gonna have to get a bigger cave.
It was just terrible.
My number 4 is Sinbad the 50th Voyage.
Okay.
I think it's just Sinbad 50th Voyage. I don't even think there's a "the" in the title. It's just Sinbad 50th Voyage. There's a good love story in there.
Yeah.
And the CGI monsters. I mean, usually in these really low budget Sinbad films, the CGI is really bad. But this wasn't so bad. I mean, they had a crab monster and kind of a cyclops thing that was actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And my number 5, it will probably surprise you, but I'm going to get you to say your number 5 next.
Okay. So my number 5, and this is your fault, Rory. I watched Sinbad of the 7 Seas with Lou Ferrigno. And yes. And it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, see, this is my dishonorable mention on my list.
Yes. It's not Batman and Robin.
If you watch the preview for the movie that's on YouTube, they do not show any dialogue from him as Sinbad. They just show him ripping his shirt off and just wielding the sword and you know, he doesn't say a line, not one line of dialogue, because he was dubbed. He had to be dubbed.
Yeah, he was dubbed.
Ferrigno has a hearing impairment. So when he talks, it sounds like he has a hearing impairment.
Right.
So, and I don't mean to make fun of that. It's just that we know that he had to be dubbed, and he was dubbed very badly.
Yes.
I mean, like laugh-worthy badly. You know,
yeah,
I mean, it's just so obvious.
And there's it. I don't know. I don't know what could have saved this movie, but the worst part of it for me, I mean, the whole thing was pretty bad, but the worst was this. They had this sort of framing device where the story is being told by this mother to her child, to her daughter. You know, it's a bedtime story, and kind of like in The Princess Bride. But the narration continues throughout the entire movie, and it's telling us what's happening as if we wouldn't. The plot is not that complicated to where we need, you know, it's not Blade Runner where you know, we need somebody to tell us, you know, what's going on. But there's this continuous narration. But I gotta say, the thing that almost kind of saves this movie for me is John Steiner as Jafar the wizard, he's the evil wizard in this one, because
his name is Jafar.
His name is Jafar. Yes, just like the guy in Aladdin. Yes.
So that was in 1989. That movie was made. When was Aladdin made? The first one.
I don't remember, but whether it was before or after, you know.
Let me look that up.
Yeah, look that up. But you know, and Steiner, I looked him up, and he actually had a very long career. He passed away last year in 2022. But he was an English actor, had a long career. He was in Caligula with Malcolm Powell, but mostly he did just a lot of these Italian movies, and apparently he made a pretty good career playing Nazi officers in these movies, or just villains, you know. And so this was kind of his first fantasy type role. But he chews so much scenery. He should be arrested for deforestation. I mean, it was just epic, you know.
And we can't fault them because Aladdin came out 3 years later.
For
Disney. So Jafar, the evil Jafar, was first in the Lou Ferrigno Aladdin. Of the Seven Seas.
Yeah, and the plot is just I mean, evil wizard, kidnap princess, search for these magical jewels, blah blah blah. It's pretty standard fare. But yeah, I loved him in this movie.
Okay.
Just
again, it's only as good as the evil sorcerer that
only as good
that fights Aladdin.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's one of my dishonorable mentions. But my number 5 is actually the animated film Sinbad: Legend of the Seven Seas, which has Brad Pitt voicing Aladdin.
Wow. Okay.
But the real thing that everybody remembers from this film is the villain, who is the goddess Eris, played by Michelle Pfeiffer. And she's just really, really nasty and wicked, and she's like the villain you love to hate, because she actually thinks that Aladdin is cute. She kind of likes him, but she runs him through the ringer through the whole movie. So yeah, that gets number 5 on my list. And again, when you look up Aladdin on the internet, this thing comes up 1,000 times opposed to the other movies. I mean, just evidently it was very successful, very popular, because a lot of people post stuff about it on the internet.
You mean Sinbad? Yeah.
Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. Yes.
The
Brad Pitt Sinbad.
I was going to watch it, but by this point, I had pretty much been Sinbaded out.
I skimmed through another dishonorable mention.
Oh yeah.
This was Sinbad and the Minotaur.
And
this movie had a guy that sounded like Vinnie Jones as Sinbad. And that was just wrong. Again, there's a supposedly it's a cast of nobodies. It's supposed to be a love story between Sinbad and a girl that she's a whore. Slave girl. The villain actually is over the top, like you say, chewing the scenery. Good, he's pretty good. But there is the Minotaur is kind of a puppet thing that they use really sparingly in the film, because they don't want you to see it. And there might be some CGI on top of it. And it turns people. It was created by a god. And it also, when it makes its noise, people around, like in the village around this place where it's hidden, they sprout horns and they become like zombies, and they want to kill for it. So it's just ridiculously bad. I mean, it's just really, really bad, like very funny bad.
Yeah.
So if you want to laugh and you want to crack a few beers and watch a really bad Sinbad movie, even worse than the Lou Ferrigno thing, yes, by all means, Sinbad and the Minotaur. It's free on YouTube.
I didn't think anything was going to be as bad as Lou Ferrigno Sinbad, but now
neither did I.
Yeah, I got to tell you, one of my favorite scenes in the Lou Ferrigno one is he's been trapped by the wizard, and he's in this snake pit, right? And we learn from the narration, because we have to apparently, that the snakes or he's friends with the snakes. They're his friends. They're because we think, oh no, snakes is going to kill him. No, he's friends with them. So in order to escape from this pit, what Mr. Friend of the Snakes does is he ties them end to end and creates a rope out of all these snakes.
Didn't we all do that with rubber snakes when we were kids?
Yeah. And that's exactly what they look like. They look like rubber snakes, because that's what they are. And
the problem is that a snake is only about 3 feet, right? So when you tie them, it's just like a bunch of knots.
Yeah. So and that's exactly what it looks like. And he ties this bone.
And of course, they choke to death.
And he climbs up the rope. Oh man, that's brilliant.
Or it's like a human centipede.
Yeah. The snakes are going,
here, you bite the ass of this one. Here, you bite the ass of this one.
It's human centipede, snake centipede. Oh,
and don't poop.
no, exactly. Don't poop. Oh man. Oh.
We will not be reviewing those movies on this show. Believe me.
Huh?
There's like 3 of those. Like you couldn't get the point across in the first one. Oh yeah, well, a human centipede. Guy turns into like a centipede kind of creature. That sounds cool. No, it's not that film. Okay. So, is our gal there in the background somewhere?
Where's our gal?
I'm here, but I'm waiting for the last. Manny has something else he wanted me to get pictures for. Right. So I want him to mention that.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. All right. Well, this is not a dishonorable mention. This is, I think, an honorable mention. Is Popeye the Sailor meets Sinbad?
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Popeye's got and Bluto was Sinbad, right? In that
Bluto plays Sinbad. Yeah.
Come on,
and
girl.
Yeah.
But what you do? I got the spinach.
And
wow, blow me down.
Just and it's one of the longest Popeye cartoons. I think it clocks in like 15 minutes. And there we see Wimpy, who is chasing this duck through the entire movie.
And he's not dressed in Sinbad out gear. He's dressed as Wimpy.
He's just dressed. Yeah, he's just Wimpy. You know, he's just in this little suit, and he's hungry, and he chases this duck for the entire movie. But technically, this is one of the first movies to use what's called a multi-plane camera. They had a series of plates, behind the image, so it looked very 3D. Created this 3D effect that Disney later incorporated into their films. But this was one of the first ones. The Fleischer Studios.
Yeah, Fleischer did the Popeye and Betty Boop right early on.
Boop, and then Superman, the very famous series of Superman cartoons.
Right.
But yeah, they did Popeye the Sailor.
So they started that technology. I always thought that Disney did that first. That's interesting. Wow, I didn't realize they did that. So that gives it more of a 3D effect. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see the back.
Very cool.
And it's just a great story, and probably more true to the original stories than all the movies that we've seen. But I remember seeing it.
Except the Harryhausen films.
Except the Harryhausen films, which are still just on top. So I had to throw that in there because I watched it as a kid. And first time I saw it was in black and white because we just had a black and white TV. But then they actually showed it in the theater. It was a double feature. And I got to see it in full color in the theater like it was back in the 40s.
Right.
And just blown away. I was like, oh, color.
Yeah, the Superman cartoons by Fleischer were all in full color.
Yeah.
Like you said, they were like 10-minute. When people went to a movie like in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, they got a whole bunch of stuff before the movie. They got a cartoon. They got a newsreel.
Right.
Showed the news because people didn't have TVs, in their houses until the 50s.
Right.
So, I mean, they got all their news from going to the movies in the beginning of the movie. I mean, it just kind of funneled downward towards the main attraction, the feature that they came to see. They got a serial like Batman or the Green Hornet or Spy Smasher or what have you.
Right.
Or Captain America even. I mean, I always thought that the Marvel comics, came like around the 50s and 60s, but no, they were around back in the 30s and 40s too, just like Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman. So yeah, they would give you one episode of a serial, keep you coming back to the movies.
Right. Yeah.
And
that was, because now it's just one movie per showing, but back then there was actually what they called an A picture and a B picture. The A picture was the big budget, Hollywood production, usually in color. Once color started coming in, And the B picture usually, you know, the low budget, black and white, sci-fi, horror. You know, that was the one for the kids. You know, the teenagers.
Again, if it was a Columbia picture, you'd get a Three Stooges short,
right?
Or maybe Laurel and Hardy. You know,
yeah.
Or if it was MGM, you might get Tom and Jerry cartoon.
Jerry, right? Yeah.
You know, Warner Brothers, of course, was the Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes, yeah.
Again, we all take that for granted today, that those little 8-minute things were part of a whole big thing that people would go to see when they went to the movies. Yeah. Again, they get the newsreel, they get the cartoon or the short, then they get, you know, something else, and then the movie, you know.
So, news of the world.
The serial.
Yeah.
So come back next week and find out what happens to Batman. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. Which is funny that they kind of did that on the, you know, when they brought it back with Adam West. They split it up into two episodes, and then there was the hanger.
Give it that kind of serial feel to it. Yeah, I think Batman and Robin. Batman was on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You had to wait for the second part.
Yeah,
until the third season. Then they were just doing one episode, and that was it. It was done. Yeah. They would kind of string it together by showing the villain showing up at the end of the first episode, you know, so you know who the villain was next episode, that kind of thing. Right. Oh my goodness, it's Egghead, he's back. You know, with Olga and the Cossacks.
Oh,
yeah. Tune in next week to see Egghead and Olga.
Egghead. Vincent Price. Yeah.
Yes, excellent.
That's very good. Yeah.
So again, the Sinbad movies, it's a genre.
Is it?
But
a genre,
not a lot of Sinbad movies out there to find. I mean,
no,
there are a lot of bad ones.
If you're going to go out and you're going to look for Sinbad movie, there's really only 3 that you need to look for: Seventh Voyage, Golden Voyage, and Eye of the Tiger. And Eye of the Tiger is optional.
those are the creme de la creme.
But those are the creme de la creme. Yeah. And Popeye.
Those are the Harry Houses.
Yeah, look for the Harry Houses.
Popeye's Arabian Nights.
And Popeyes.
Yeah. Popeyes versus Sinbad.
That's right.
Is that what it's called? Popeye versus Sinbad?
No. Popeye the Sailor meets Sinbad the Sailor.
Meets Sinbad. Okay.
Yeah.
Just like Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next show.
What
are we doing? Bond?
Are we going
to attempt a Bond show next episode?
I think we should. I mean, I think we've talked it up enough over the course. Let's just do it. Yes,
okay, alrighty then.
Character bondage.
We'll tell you which Bond. Which are we gonna do? Connery. Sean Connery.
Yeah, start with Connery.
All right. We'll say which Connery films are our favorites on down to our least favorite.
Right, yeah.
And we'll explain why. Should we include Lazenby in that?
We got to include Lazenby. He's part of the official canon, yeah.
Since Connery came back for Diamonds after On Her Majesty's Secret, I agree. I think we should include Lazenby in that episode. Yeah. All right. So we'll do that for next time. But, Renee.
Yes?
Before we stop on the Sinbad kick here, we do need to mention another Sinbad.
I think I know who you're talking about.
There we go.
I think
there he is.
He's like, you talking about me? Are you talking about me, Rory?
Okay.
I ain't fighting no Minotaur.
Now,
oh my God.
He's still doing comedy. He's still doing comedy today. Yeah. He's very religious now. So, and he pushes the fact that his comedy is very clean. He's very religious. But his foray into Hollywood and cinema includes First Kid.
First Kid, yeah.
Which is a film about him being a security, CIA security for the daughter of the president.
Right, yeah, Secret Service.
There's an assassination plot and everything in it.
Of course. Yeah.
And that film didn't do very well. Pretty much.
I don't know why. I don't know.
Because he had done Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is a Christmas film, and very good in that. Yeah. And that movie did very well at the box office. But then they came out with First Kid, and I haven't seen it in a long time. I can't remember. And that's probably because it's probably not a good film. I mean, the script is probably not good. The direction's probably not good. And the poor guy got stuck, in a production that just. Yeah.
He did several movies, but none of them I don't think are really particularly memorable other than Jingle All the Way. And but mainly I think he's best known for his TV show. He had a TV show for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I knew him too. And he got a lot of he was on TV a lot in the 80s and early 90s. Just I don't know why he did a lot of appearances. He must have had some good management going on because he was featured a lot, and I never could figure out what he was really famous for. But it's almost like at a certain point he was famous for just being Sinbad. He did a lot of stand up, of course, and but I saw him all the time. We all knew instantly who he was. So there's something in the zeitgeist about him. And he was a loud dresser. That was another thing. He would always dress with the, and you saw him with the earrings in that. So there was something about him that he just didn't get movies really, but television was his wheelhouse.
Yeah. Like you say, because like Carlin, he came up with a lot of new material very quickly. He did a lot of comedy specials, like you said, in the 80s and 90s, because he was constantly turning over material, which a lot of comics will do just like one 1 hour set, and then they do a special. And then that's it. They've shot the wad, so to speak. They've done all of their material, and it's like it takes them forever to write another hour worth of material for another set. So Kinnison was very smart in that direction. Richard Lewis, and there were some others that came out at that time that didn't allow them to shoot their entire set, so that they could do another one. And then by the time the third one came around, they would have new material. So, but Sinbad was actually a very quick at writing new material and trying it out and having it ready for a new special. So yeah, he was very prolific at doing comedy specials back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. And if you go to his Instagram right now, he's still relevant somehow. He has a lot of followers. He has Snoop Dogg following him on IG. Yeah. And he's getting into music. Like you said, he's getting into religion. He found some kind of a cultural niche audience that has followed him throughout the years that is quite loyal to him.
Because he's worked clean.
Right. And he's worked clean. A lot of kids grew up with him. A lot of parents allowed, it was family friendly, that kind of thing. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. He was family friendly. Yeah. Yeah. He wasn't Richard Pryor or George Carlin or those guys.
Or Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy was very big at that time. And again, when Eddie Murphy did Delirious, he let him shoot his entire set, which was 1 hour and 10 minutes, I believe. And then he had nothing. He had to get a team. Robert Townsend was one of the guys that arranged the team that wrote the material that he did in Raw.
Right.
His second special. And would love to talk to Robert Townsend about that. But we'll see.
I had a quick question about the Sailor, Sinbad, because I've never seen any one of the Sailor movies, Sinbad the Sailor movies. Not one of them. I'm watching the show behind the scenes tonight of you guys. You guys piqued my interest. Now I want to go back and watch at least the top two, right? Because you made it sound so interesting and fascinating, so I can understand why it's in the culture. And of course, I grew up hearing about it, and I know it's an old story. Are either of you familiar with the origins of that character? And then if you could just do like a quick 30-second elevator pitch of the character's story, because it's still unclear to me, and I'm really curious, and I haven't watched the movies yet.
Well, I think Manny said it at the very beginning. It comes from the 1001 Arabian Nights. Am I right?
Yes.
And
then they tweaked it, right? Hollywood, right? But then Hollywood what did they change exactly from the?
Well, he's kind of a wholesome thief.
Yeah. Well,
especially the Kerwin Matthews, the first one. You know, it's like they don't even say he's a thief. I think in that one, they just he's an adventurer.
Okay.
You know, and he comes to this this king and his kingdom, and I think they were going to steal something in that, or no, that was Golden Voyage, I think.
Yeah.
And he falls for the daughter, I guess. But yeah, they didn't really push the fact that he was a thief until later.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
he's just,
Eye of the Tiger
this adventurous, explorer and
sailor.
And yeah,
with his ship and his
men. But in the tales, he is almost like a Baron Munchausen. You know, he's the one telling the story of his life, and all these amazing things that he did, and people are like, oh wow, yeah, because
cool.
In one of the films, I can't
cool.
remember which one that I was skimming through today. Patrick Stewart was narrating as old Sinbad. He was like, then he would, and he was actually narrating one of these, and it's like one of these really low budget ones.
Yeah.
So you don't see him, you just hear his voice, and it's Patrick Stewart.
Yeah. In the one with Douglas Fairbanks, it starts with him, basically regaling this group of people, on this dock about some amazing adventure that he had. Oh, he's talking about the Rock, the bird monster, and how he fought it and all this stuff. And of course, they don't believe a word of it, probably because it wasn't true. And then he hears about, Maureen O'Hara is this princess who wants to find this, he wants to find this treasure, the lost treasure of Alexander the Great. And there's a search for a map, and of course there's a evil villain, and so on and so forth. But but in that one,
back in that time, they would actually be called pirates, probably.
Yeah, he's more of a pirate in that one. And we didn't really talk about Seventh Voyage. Well, we did actually. No, not Seventh Voyage. Eye of the Tiger.
Oh yeah, that's right. You guys glossed over.
We kind of glossed over that. Sinbad,
we just kind of talked about the monsters.
Yeah. Sinbad is played by Patrick Wayne, who is John Wayne's son.
Right.
And one of the other girls or female characters in the movie is played by Taryn Powers, who is Tyrone Power's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyrone Power was a big actor back in the 40s and 50s.
My dad looked just like him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he was young, he looked just like Tyrone Powers.
Yeah. Well, he was a handsome man.
If I showed you a picture of my father when he was in the Navy, you would just go, "Wow!" You really would go, "Wow!" Yeah, he does. He does look like him.
So it's notable, a little bit notable for that. You have two children of famous parents, and of course, like you said, there's an actor, Patrick Troughton, who had played the second Doctor from Doctor Who. And not Thorin Thatcher. I don't remember what the woman's name who plays the.
She was an Italian actress.
We have a witch, actually.
Yeah, she was an Italian actress. She played a witch.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things in the movie, and it's just very prominent in the poster for the movie, was the fact that she drank some elixir to turn into a seagull, so she could spy on Sinbad and his men, and they broke the container that had the serum in it that would turn her back, so that she didn't get all as much as she needed to turn back. So she was this witch with a giant seagull foot.
Yes. That just, I was like, oh, yeah. She had to walk around.
There was not enough.
Yeah. But So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I just wanted to mention that.
She actually used that serum to turn a wasp into a giant wasp too, to try to kill the scientist, to try to kill Patrick Troughton in that.
Yeah. So that was always cool when Harryhausen did like real animals, creatures, and made them giant size, like Talk to the Bees and Mysterious Island, the crabs and stuff.
The crab was an actual. He had hollowed out an actual crab, and used the outer skeleton.
Right.
He put it on his articulated, figure, but it was actually had a real crab finish on it. Right. Yeah. So it looks very realistic in the movie.
Yeah. There's a documentary if anybody's interested in learning more about Harryhausen. I want to say it's on Prime Video. All about Harryhausen and his life and his technique, and its interviews with him, and behind the scenes footage of him working. He said that one of the hardest models that he worked with was the Hydra from Jason and the Argonauts, because he had to remember day to day which head that he moved and how far, and trying to articulate those
7 heads and multiple tails as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So that it was it was a harder shoot. It was harder to shoot that one than Kali with the 6 arms, and I love the way that Kali was made to dance before that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah. So there you go.
All right. Very good. Well, we'll see you next time. I guess it's 6 o'clock.
There you go.
I'm here, and then this is the last time we can. We only have one Sinbad. so there you go. There you go.
Happy to be.
Well, I don't think it's ever going to be in a Sinbad movie. So I mean,
I don't think so. Although, if he gets the right management again, you never know. It could happen. I think it could be a game changer.
Play a genie in it or something.
Oh my gosh, that would be perfect casting. Yeah, he's already got the earrings.
And there's apparently some kind of controversy as to whether he actually made a movie called Shazam where he plays a genie in it. And he says yes.
That was Shaquille O'Neal, wasn't it?
No. He played Shazam.
There's a controversy surrounding Sinbad?
Yeah. But he's said, no. I was in that movie. Yeah, no. There is another movie with Shaquille O'Neal, but no. Sinbad made a movie. I think it's called.
Can we watch it?
I don't know.
That's incredible.
It's called Shazam.
Yeah,
Shazam.
I'm looking it up.
Look it up. This is awesome. I'm intrigued because he looks like a genie. I mean, he looks like he would play a really.
And people say no, it's the Mandela effect. We think it's him.
Yeah.
Somebody else. But
how'd they prove it? I mean, have people have seen it and taken still frames and?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And they asked him about him. Said, "Yeah, I made that movie. Yeah." I don't know why people think I didn't.
Funny. It's like
most of the Shazam stuff I'm seeing here is Captain Marvel Shazam.
Oh, but it's Shazam with two A's.
2 A's.
Yeah,
Shazam. This is great.
Yeah.
Hold on. We're getting to the bottom of this.
Shazam.
King Shazam, Kyla Shazam.
Yeah. The 90s movie Shazam stars the comedian Sinbad as a genie who appears to.
There you go. There you go. See?
Okay, 1996. Kazam.
No, it's Shazam. No, it's Shazam on IMDb. Somewhere in a parallel universe, Sinbad's long forgotten genie movie is uncovered at long last. We found Sinbad's Shazam genie movie. It's now available.
Yeah.
People were looking for it.
Yeah. Because apparently, I don't know if it was just so bad that they buried it, or people just like, forgot about it. And I think people confused it with the movie that Shaquille O'Neal did, which I think that was Kazam.
Kazam. Yeah. With 2 A's.
So they could pick Shazam with Shazam, it's a Zam. And that's the one they remember. And they
I'm
forgot
so
about
confused.
for
What?
Sinbad. Yeah. So,
What?
First kid.
This is incredible.
yeah. So there you go.
Wow. Well, you learn something new every day. I love that. And I love that happened.
Yeah.
That is incredible. We need to reach out
I
to
still
Sinbad.
haven't found it.
It's on I don't know.
It's yeah.
Yeah. I found an article on IMDb. I mean, I didn't read the article, but it looks like
IMDb, and it's all over YouTube.
And they do have a picture of him as a genie.
Yeah.
With the thing and everything like that. So I know this is weird.
And you found it on IMDb.
Well, there's an article on IMDb. Yeah.
Article on IMDb.
I'm serious.
If you look up Sinbad the comedian on YouTube, there's videos about the controversy.
It's a controversy. Yeah.
Get the cat.
I love. There's so much more to Sinbad the comedian than meets the eye.
Than meets the eye.
Meets the eye.
I'm waiting for the scandal, the Sinbad scandal. Wouldn't that be great?
We're talking about
we're gonna have to send him this show since we spent so much time talking about him.
Talk about how he works.
Shout out to our boy Sinbad.
Yeah, he talked about how he works clean, and I thought, he made that choice of working clean, kind of like Bill Cosby, and until we discovered what a sleaze Bill Cosby turned out to be. But
let's not go there.
With your pudding pops and your Coke.
I'm in prison.
You have a Coke and a smile. You have his Coke.
Oh my god! That last one was identical.
Not laced with anything, I promise you. It's fine.
Just eat the popsicle.
It's fine.
Right down to the stick.
Oh my god! Can we put this on TikTok?
If we want to get banned.
Oh my gosh!
He's in prison. Who cares?
It's okay to mock the predator. You can mock the predator, I think that's socially acceptable.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It was like dueling, but if you're me, it was like Bill Cosby in stereo. I was getting to both. They were talking to one another. It's like Cosby twins.
If I could go back and tell my young self what not to do.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Say no to Quaaludes, people. Say no to Quaaludes.
Stay away from the roofies.
There's no roofies in this Coke, I promise you.
Which is like a suspicious thing to say.
What do you mean, Bill?
Why? Well, it's Bill Cosby. If you're a woman, you trust him, right? I mean, it's Bill Cosby. It's Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby. It's Uncle Bill.
It's the
Bill.
cause.
Everybody loves him.
It's Huxtable.
It's the Huxtable. It's the cause.
The cause.
He does pudding pops.
He was Fat Albert.
Hey. Come on, like Fat Albert would never hurt a fly.
Fat Albert would never hurt a fly.
No.
It's like Norma's mother. I would never hurt a fly. Let them talk.
Every boy should love his mother.
We all go a little crazy sometimes.
Oh my gosh. I've told Rory this before and he won't do it, but I was thinking but you could add to it. It doesn't have to be a one-man show, Rory, but y'all should do radio dramas where it's like we take still frames of anything, or Manny could even draw it, and then, you guys would be off screen just doing the character. It would be so funny. It would be so funny. I don't know why Rory won't do it. I'm so mad at you.
Who said I won't do it?
Because I wanted you to do Spaceballs.
Oh, here
the
you go back to
entire
the obsession with
Spaceballs
Spaceballs.
radio drama. And he said no, and I'm carrying a grudge. What'd you say,
paper
Manny?
dolls of
Yeah, just little paper. Like, come on.
I
Be
can
a
do the
pal,
Joe
Rory.
Rivers robot.
Yeah.
oh yeah, dude.
And
Yes.
more.
But you could also do like you could do an original thing, you know, you could do anything. It's so funny. You guys could do a Bill Cosby dramedy.
Do all sorts of voices. Do Patrick Stewart narrating.
Yeah. You
Make
see?
it so number one.
Like, for example, let me just I'm going to do a little pilot here with you guys. You guys can do this. Watch
It's
this.
to us now.
Okay, watch this.
Tom
So
Cheshire.
now,
We'd be
now,
so happy
now,
we've gone over.
now you guys can do different, choose which characters you want. There's 3 characters on screen and just do like a 30-second dialogue.
We got a big cave here. Look at the cave.
Ooh, there seems to be a duck. I'm so hungry.
I wonder if it's a monsters in the cave.
Come here, ducky. Come here.
Maybe I'll meet the Sinbad. He's a comedian.
Ignore the grinding noise.
How is that not? I would pay admission to see that. That is so funny. Like, it's so funny, and you could go back and forth. Like if we had multiple pictures, so good. We're on to the $1 million idea here, people.
Okay, so next show, since we're doing Sean Connery, James Bond, make a little mini story with Sean Connery pictures, James Bond, Sean Connery pictures.
Okay.
And I'll do my Connery, and he can do the villains. And
yes, Mr. Bond. Oh.
I love this idea. I can take still frames from some of the movies.
My favorite. Well, I'll save it for later.
What?
No, I was going to say my favorite Bond villain was Goldfinger.
Oh yeah.
You know, and of course the classic line: "You expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond. I expect you to die." So,
Oh, I love it. It's gold. Pun intended.
Gold.
Finger.
Yeah.
Gold finger.
And you guys are gonna hate me for this because I said that Spaceballs was my Star Wars, but I love Austin Powers so much.
Oh,
with
yeah,
Gold Member,
baby.
there was Gold Member.
Behave.
There was Fat Bastard.
Highway.
I loved it. I love Austin Powers. I just think the whole thing is.
As long as I can have unprotected sex in a consequence-free environment, I'm sound as a pound, baby.
Who knew?
Get in my belly.
Get in my belly.
You're like a wee baby.
Hey, baby. It's a wee baby. Get in my belly.
Got the turtle head poking out.
Yeah, that's the one. I always say that one because it's so visual and disturbing. I love everything about those movies. You guys are giving me my Christmas gift early because for me to sit here and hear that, and it's like I'm reliving the movies. That's another one I should do. I should take some.
Because all we want is $1 million.
Which is Lorne Michaels. They did that as a Lorne. Yeah, that's supposed to be Lorne Michaels. That's hilarious. And Dana Carvey came up with all of that, and Mike Myers just lifted it. And then Dana Carvey's like, I don't care. Like, I'm Dana Carvey. He didn't care, but it is weird that Mike Myers never gave him credit for that. But
that sucks.
Yeah, but
it'll come out on the show with David Spade.
They have a podcast going on, but it's mainly just it's Dana Carvey who does most of that, and then David Spade just shows up, I think. Yeah, like intentionally, like they do it that way. But yeah, it's really fun. I've seen some.
I remember,
and they were on Stern talking about it too.
Yeah, this is totally.
Oh, Howard Stern.
Wait, what was Manny's? Wait, what'd you say, Manny?
Oh, I was gonna say when Tom Hanks did That Thing You Do, there's a scene where Peter Scolari, who was his co-star in that TV show that they did together,
Bosom Buddies.
And Bosom Buddies.
Oh my gosh!
And I thought, oh, how nice of Tom to give his co-star a little.
Isn't that funny?
That's so funny to do since his career went nowhere. Tom was on the rise.
Well, he stayed in television, you know.
No, yeah, he stayed in television, but I don't think, you know, he didn't reach the heights that Hanks did. You know,
again, Hanks started working with, you know, Penny Marshall and
Right.
Ron Howard, and you know.
Well, yeah, so that was
I mean, his movie career just took off.
Yeah. So.
But Bosom Buddies was phenomenal. Bosom Buddies, I used to stay up. They used to rerun it at like 2:30 in the morning.
Wow.
When I was a teenager, and I would stay up because it was Mork and Mindy, and then back to back it was Bosom Buddies and Mork and Mindy. I would just stay up. I wouldn't sleep till it was. I mean, they were so good. This is pre Netflix and YouTube. You couldn't, you know. So if it was running at 2:30, you had to watch it.
And then Tom Hanks. Oh.
Yes, that's what it was. I was obsessed with both of them. Nanu, you know, it was so good. Wait, it's a different. What did I do? I did Vulcan. What is Nanu then? Is it similar? I can't.
Same
remember.
thing, but out front.
Yeah.
What
this is the Vulcan.
Yeah, this is Vulcan.
Is like a handshake.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Nano.
How did I forget that? Okay.
Not everybody can do this, apparently. The Vulcan.
I know. You know, sometimes you say
you gotta
it
practice.
And people can't do it.
You gotta practice.
One of those people who can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I used to not be able to do it, and then one day I could do it. It's weird.
Yeah. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. There you go.
Did you ever do a mind meld on yourself?
Yeah, and found nothing there.
There's nothing there. I tried it so
scary.
Star Trek is something.
Cobwebs.
You guys should talk about Star Trek stuff. There's a lot of arguments and debates to be having about
movies.
Those
yeah, we could do the early movies, through.
There's plenty of them now. Yeah.
So but next week, Sean Connery.
Sean Connery, that's right.
And George Lazenby.
Yes.
It's exciting. All right. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. It's exciting.
Yeah. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
11:30.
We'll be back at 6 p.m. Eastern next week, I promise.